Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gimme Three podcast, a series for cinephiles. I'm Nicholas Ibarra, and as I'm sure all of you know by now, it has been just a devastating and tragic week here in Los Angeles. Wildfires all across our city and our county have just wreaked havoc, taken thousands of homes and businesses, and lives have been lost as well, unfortunately. And if you live here in Los Angeles, the chances are you know somebody who has lost everything in this horrendous disaster. So Bella and I opted not to record an episode this week, and I should mention that Bella is safe. Sonja, our producer, and we are safe. We are well. We are just obviously very saddened and on the ropes. Our city is on the ropes right now. But and as of this recording and this release, the fight continues. So we're gonna continue to pray for our city, and obviously we want to give love and so many thanks to all of the firefighters and the first responders who are risking their lives and putting up heroic efforts just to save our city. And I want to give love to our city in general as well. So many people have already given time, donations, effort, and money to help individuals and nonprofits. There's a lot of outpouring of love and generosity happening in the city of LA right now, which is just tremendous to see. It's going to be a long recovery process, and we're going to need to keep this same energy for the weeks, the months, the years, most likely to come. But thus far, the City of Angels has really proven itself to be a city of angels. If you have the means to help or donate, obviously there's tons of places to do that. The American Red Cross is available. They're doing great work within the community. But go online. There's a bunch of places and organizations looking for donations. And if you came to the Gimme Three podcast today looking to take your mind off of all this, we do have you covered. We are going to play an episode that was previously only available to our Patreon subscribers. It is a bonus, spoiler-free episode with Bella F. Stratus, my co-host, and Sonja Mereu, our producer, and they talk about some of their favorite movies that they saw over the summer. And we will be back with a new episode next week. It's going to be part 1 of 3. Gimme 3 favorites from 2024. So we start our year in review, our favorite picks from 2024. We're going to start that next week. But until then, enjoy this fun chat with Bella and Sonja. And once again, our hearts go out to everybody here in Los Angeles, and especially all of those affected by these wildfires. From the beautiful city of Los Angeles, California, we bring you the Gimme Three podcast.
Welcome back, cinephiles, cinema lovers, movie appreciators, and of course, our family and friends to the Gimme Three podcast, a series for cinephiles. I'm Bella F. Stratus, and today I'm joined by producer and Los Angeles Diversity Film Festival director. You'll recognize her by her brilliant movie minutes each episode here on the Gimme Three podcast, introducing the incredible Sonja Mereu.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi, Sonja. Welcome. It is such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for doing this episode with me. I'm so excited. Before we get started, I wanted to give a very special shout out to our Patreon subscribers for their constant support. We're sorry it's taken so long for this episode to come out, but we're so excited for it, and we can't wait to bring you more this coming month. So yeah, welcome back to another episode of our monthly watchlist discoveries. In this episode, Sonja and I will pitch 3 films that we discovered and loved in the past couple of months. We have such an amazing lineup, and I'm so excited to hear more about your 3 selections, Sonja. I don't know about you, but it was so hard to choose just 3 films to talk about today.
Yeah, same. I've been seeing so many movies. I've logged 106 movies this year on Letterboxd.
Oh my God. That's the best feeling.
Yeah, it's a personal best for sure. So I was like, all right, what am I going to pick?
Yeah, and I feel like on top of that, like so many incredible new films have come out in theaters just in these like past few months or past couple of months as well. Like we had Inside Out 2, we had The Bike Riders. Just a few weeks ago we got Maxine and Longlegs. And then last weekend we got what I think is probably going to be the biggest summer blockbuster this year with Twisters.
Yeah, I kind of hope so. I mean, I
Yeah,
haven't seen Inside Out, and I guess they're both sequels ish,
right. Yeah.
but I really like Twisters. I have
I
to say.
loved Twister. Yeah, I wanted to ask you like more about it. Obviously we're not going to talk any spoilers on this episode, but um I was so impressed, honestly. Like I don't think it did not disappoint in my opinion.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, I thought the whole cast was great.
Yes.
I was really excited that the Isaac Lee Chung was the director. I didn't realize that until I was at the theater watching it. But to go from
Same.
Minari to that, it's like, wow.
Yeah. Actually, you just reminded me I need to tell my boyfriend that because he loves Minari and I know he's gonna be like, what? There's no way that that's the same person.
But I do think that some of that like sensibility of like natural, like his naturalistic style in Minari, like works in Twisters. Like
Mm.
it just, yeah, it felt like really grounded in the earth, well, and the air and the
Yes.
sky, I guess.
Yeah.
But like the environmental stuff just felt different than even like the first one. Like it felt more real to me.
No, I totally agree. I think that's a great point. And yeah, I recently rewatched the OG this past weekend to prepare for Twisters, which was so much fun. I had forgotten how much I love that movie and how crazy it is and just utterly ridiculous. So I thought this one did a great job of like paying tribute to the OG while also kind of setting itself apart as like its own thing a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't think of it as a sequel as much as just like another great movie about people, who chase tornadoes.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's so much fun. Like it's such a like niche thing.
Yeah, it was. And I won't give anything away, but I thought the opening sequence, that
Mm.
was like shockingly good.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh
Yes.
my God, I'm in. Okay.
Totally. Yes. And like that's always such a good feeling, especially when you've built up something so much. Like I don't know about you, but I was so excited for this movie and so I was like, "Oh man, let's see how this goes." And yeah, within the first scene I was like, "Oh, this is going to be awesome."
Yeah, it really delivered. And I feel like it walked that very difficult line of like, it's a blockbuster, but it didn't get cheesy. Like it knew the moments that could have gone cheesy and it winked that it could, but it didn't do it, if that makes sense.
Yes, totally. I was actually really surprised how not cheesy it was just because the first one is so ridiculous. There's definitely more science speak in this one that I was kind of surprised to see as well.
Yeah, I agree. They did a really good job with that of making you feel like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, I know what's going on. I know exactly what's going on." And then of course Glenn Powell, come on, he can do no wrong. I love
Yeah,
him.
he is the man of the year, I think.
Yeah.
Last year was Jeremy Allen White. This year it's Glenn Powell.
Literally, it's his white boy summer.
100%. I mean, I loved Hitman also, which I'm also not
Oh,
talking about, but
I need to watch that one. That's been on my list. The second I finished Twisters, I was like, okay, now I need to go watch that immediately. Just need more.
yeah, he has it going on for
He
sure.
really does. Yeah, he's just got the it factor. So, yeah, catch Twisters in theaters right now and let us know what you guys think. Really excited to hear everyone's thoughts on that. Um, Alrighty, let's get started with our monthly discoveries. Sonia, start us off with your first film recommendation of the day.
All right. Well, my first film recommendation is still in theaters, so that's why I'm going to start with that one. And it's Thelma, which came out just a couple weeks ago. And it's about Thelma, played by June Squibb, who's a 93-year-old grandmother who gets ripped off for $10,000 in one of those like phone scams where someone's pretending to be her grandson and extorts her for money.
Oh, no.
Not giving anything away. That's very
Yeah.
early in the setup. But, and so she feels humiliated and angry. So she teams up with another elderly friend and they go on an odyssey across the San Fernando Valley to get her money back.
Oh my God.
Have you
Sounds
seen
amazing. No, I've heard about it though, and I had no idea what it was about, but this has me sold. I need to see that.
It's so good. So Nick and I were watching the very ill-fated presidential debate that night. And we just turned it off and I was like, let's go see a movie. And he's like, what do you want to see? And I was like, let's go watch a movie about an old person who is killing it. So we saw Thelma.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I love that. And I can't remember. I think I've seen it's you said June Squibb, right? That's her name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember what I've seen her in. I think she was in some random horror movie that I watched, but I was like, why haven't I seen more of her? She's so cute and she's so funny.
I know, she's great. I heard that this was her first lead role of her entire career.
What?
So in, let's assume she's been acting for 70 years.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah. So she's always been a supporting character. So probably seen her in a lot of stuff. The two things that I knew her from were both Alexander Payne movies. About Schmidt, she plays the wife of Jack Nicholson, but she's not in it a ton. And then Nebraska, she plays the wife of Bruce Dern.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's so cool.
But yeah, she's, she carries the movie. And she's like amazing. And then Richard Roundtree, who played Shaft, plays her not best friend, but like her friend that goes on the journey with her.
Love it.
And he drives the most like decked out rascal scooter or whatever they're called. It's like a full-on character in the movie.
Oh my God, amazing.
And then Parker Posey's in it, and Clark Gregg. Parker Posey plays her daughter, and Clark Gregg plays her son-in-law. And then Fred Heschinger plays the grandson, and he's like incredible. He has a pretty big role in it too, because he's kind of like the person who believes in her, even though she's old. Whereas like her daughter's like, well, she's just old, that's why she could get scammed. And he's like,
right.
Yeah. And if he's from White Lotus season 1, he's the son Quinn. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh my God.
Show.
Yes. I love that show.
Yeah. He was like my favorite character on
honestly
that
me
season.
Too.
he's like the only like truly good person.
Yeah. And like all the scenes with him and his dad killed me. So funny.
So good. Yeah. So good. And I guess he's also in the new Gladiator 2 movie that's coming out.
Oh, no way.
And he
good
looks
for him.
Yeah. So maybe it's his year too, not just
himself.
But he looks super creepy in Gladiator. He plays
perfect.
a bad guy. So that'll be fun.
He's like the Joaquin Phoenix of it, kind of.
I think so. Yeah.
Nice. He's got the look for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's very charming and sweet in this movie.
Oh, that's great.
And I found out at the end of the movie that it's actually inspired by a true story of the director's grandma, who actually did get scammed.
Oh, damn.
I don't think that she went on this crazy journey to get the money back. But he like has clips of her during the credits.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I know, it was so sweet.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, so definitely recommend it. I'm sure if by the time people are listening, it's not available in your area, it's definitely going to be streaming,
Yeah.
next week or whatever.
Right. Oh my God, Thelma, immediately adding to my watch list. That sounds amazing and just like the perfect kind of comedy that I need in my life right now.
Yeah, it is a feel-good movie for sure.
Love that. Need that.
I know we all do.
We really do right now. Awesome. Alrighty. Well, my first film is I kind of cheated. This is one that I actually first discovered in my teen years, but I hadn't seen it since, so I like recently watched it and I think it still holds up as kind of a hidden gem, so I wanted to share it on the podcast today. My film is Stephen Cohn's 2017 queer coming of age indie gem, Princess Sid. Have you heard of this film, Sonia?
I haven't, and that's shocking because queer indie coming of age is like my jam.
Right? I know. I like okay, and like I don't know. Okay, I'll just get into it. But basically, the film follows Sid, 16. Oh, and that's spelled Princess CYD. So not what you would expect, but anyways, the film follows Sid. She's a 16-year-old girl with a pretty intense family history, and she's sent to spend a few weeks over the summer with her Aunt Miranda in Chicago. Miranda is a renowned author who leads a quiet but very happy and fulfilling life. And initially, the two don't get along very well, but as Miranda gives Sid the space to really explore her identity, her sexuality, her interests, and like form new connections, the two's bond grows much stronger. So I will say this is not a 10 out of 10 like incredibly impressive film. It's not the best movie I've ever seen. It's not that great, but I think the film's simplicity is honestly its charm. It doesn't try to do too much stylistically, and even the plot is essentially just a glimpse into this brief period of time that Sid and Miranda share together. But at the same time, it's almost two films in one, as it tells kind of Sid's story and then Miranda's story as well, is like two totally different people. Sid is like still she's a junior in high school, so she's still very naive about the world, but she has the classic audacious arrogance of like any typical teenager. Like she honestly, in retrospect, I'm like, oh my God, this bitch is so annoying. But when I was younger, I obviously looked up to her, which is really funny to watch. Like
Isn't
in
that
that
the
order.
funniest about watching something at different ages? I was talking about that with someone the other day.
Right? It's so funny because you're just like, wow, I never saw that coming, but here we are. And then luckily her Aunt Miranda has saint-like patience and just years of wisdom. So she's able to guide Sid in a way that really shows her the importance of listening and observing the world and people around her. So it's just and then on top of that, she also kind of shows Sid like an alternative way of living by showing her the things that bring her pleasure in life. Like she's a writer, she loves reading, writing, and sharing stories with friends. And she kind of shows Sid there's no strict rules on how anyone should be living their lives, especially as a woman. Like whether you have a career, you get married, you have children, not everyone seeks or chooses every single thing in their life. And that it doesn't mean that they failed, which is kind of something that Sid has an issue with, and she kind of learns and grows and matures with that over time. But and then as a queer film, I love the variety of like queer representation and the positive tone around queerness in this film. I think sometimes it's rare to find that in cinema. I think a lot of like queer representation, and maybe this is a blanket statement, but a lot of the like queer films I've watched are kind of marked by trauma or pain, and I think those films are still very beautiful and important. And not to say that this film doesn't involve trauma at all. Like there are a few intense moments off screen, but the film doesn't focus on it. And so I, for one, kind of appreciated this because I think it's nice to discover something a little more lighthearted every now and then. And I can appreciate Princess Sid as a lighthearted exploration of identity and sexuality. So yeah, if this sounds like something you guys are interested in watching, definitely check it out. It's streaming right now on Tubi and the Roku channel for free, although I'm sure there will be ads. So if you're like me and you can't deal with that, you can rent it on Amazon Prime, YouTube, wherever you typically rent your films.
Yeah, I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah, and isn't it like, I don't know if you have someone in your life like this, but having that aunt or like family friend that's really close that can be an adult role model that's not your parents and have a different lifestyle is so like important.
Totally, totally. And I really liked seeing that. I think seeing that as a teenager, I was like, wow, this film is amazing. And then seeing it as an adult was really interesting because then I felt kind of more connected to Miranda this time instead of Sid. And yeah, like you said, it just really shows like how important those relationships are in your life. So it's a sweet film for sure. Had to recommend it.
Is it American?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we don't do subtitles. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems
Never.
like it seems like nuanced films are often not American. So
yeah, no, it's so true. It's actually a good question. But yeah, check it out, everyone. Let us know what you think of Princess Sid. Alrighty, on to the next.
All right. So my second film was in theaters recently, but is now available on demand. I think it's on several platforms. It's called Flipside, and it is a documentary by a filmmaker named Chris Wilcha. And I guess the genre would be called a personal documentary. It's kind of hard to describe because there's a lot of story threads that seem disconnected, but they come together in a really like smart and moving way. Mm-hmm. It's about how Chris feels like a failure and a sellout in his career. He started out as like a Gen X, fuck the system documentarian and is now like a pretty well paid commercial director.
Wow.
And he shows like, you know, the brands that he's advertised for. And it's, you know, every major brand that you could think of.
Wow.
And it's about all these great documentaries that he started but didn't finish because he would take a paying job or whatever. And so he has all these shots of like piles of hard drives. And he's like, that's a dream. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
And it's also about all the things we collect in our lives and how they can define us and also suffocate us. He's kind of a collector guy. And it's about memory, holding on to memories and letting go of memories and kind of coming of age as a middle-aged person.
Yeah.
So he takes all these ideas and stories and parts of all these documentaries that he had made over the years that seem unrelated and creates a film that's like really personal and about time and memory and dreams.
Wow.
And yeah, like I said, it's kind of hard to describe, but I kind of impromptu went to see it because Nick's been working all the time. So hence my 106 movies. Like I've been seeing a lot of movies by myself. So I'm like, what am I going to do all night? So I saw that there was a Q&A with the director moderated by Judd Apatow at the theater that's like walking distance from my house. And I read the blurb and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go check that out. It turns out Judd Apatow is actually a producer on the film and is in it a little bit. But the audience, it was packed, which is rare to go to a packed movie for me these days. Especially a documentary.
Yeah,
and
I was gonna say.
And the audience was like so into it. They were laughing and crying. And like I was having like all these existential like revelations during the movie.
That's what it's all about. I love it.
Yeah. So it was a really great experience. But I think anyone who's had a dream that they didn't follow through on or had like, not even that, like sometimes I feel like I have so many interests and where do I put my energy? And then I wonder what the direction would have been if I had put my energy into something else.
Yeah.
You know, so it was really great movie. I should mention that Flipside is referring to the name of the record store in his hometown in New Jersey that he worked at as a teenager, which is owned by this guy named Dan. And one of his failed documentary attempts is to document Flipside because it's one of those like old school record stores where it's just like piles of stuff and there's, you know, they don't pay, like they don't use credit cards. They just give you a handwritten receipt.
Yeah.
And
that's so cool.
And he decides to go back to explore that documentary. And that's what kind of opens his floodgates of memory and creativity.
Oh my God, this sounds incredible, especially because it sounds like something that just is so relatable as like the human experience of like everyone has dreams, and you just never know where you're going to end up. And I think, like you were saying, I love what you were saying, where you're just like always thinking, or not always thinking about, but like you'll have thoughts where you're like, oh, I wonder where I would end up if I had taken that path, or like focused more on this. And I would definitely do that all the time. And I'm just like, I think that's such a great concept for a documentary, for like someone to show their own version of this. And I can imagine the existential crisis in the theater watching that, for sure.
Yeah. And it wasn't negative at all.
Yeah,
it was very much like,
in a good way. Yeah.
Like positive. And you get to root for him or celebrate him, because he talks about how he could never finish anything. And then you're watching this finished movie. So he actually did finish something.
The positive irony of it.
That's my spoiler. He did make a movie.
He did make a movie. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. I definitely want to check that out. And you said it's out of theaters now, but
yeah, it did. Okay. It did like a 2-week run at indie theaters in LA. And then I looked it up, and it was, one of those things where you could rent it on every platform. Like, I don't think it's free on any platform, but I think if you look it up, it's like on all of those
movie rental sites. Okay, cool. Perfect. Definitely checking that one out. I've been meaning to watch more documentaries as well. I feel like so many come out that I'm like, I add to my watch list and then I just forget about it. So moving this one to the top.
Yeah, I probably watch one of every 10 things I add to my watch list. Yeah,
I feel that.
Why don't they just stop making movies so I can catch up?
I know. My friends the other day were like, you have like 4,000 films on your watch list. I was like, yeah, I just kind of add everything these days. Oh man, one day we'll get through it all.
When's the next pandemic?
No,
just kidding.
Oh, that's great. So my second movie recommendation today is a film I watched at the New Beverly back in June for Pride Month. And I just cannot stop thinking about it. And I seriously want everyone to watch it. So I had to choose it for today. So if films like Notting Hill, Bridget Jones' Diary, and like other classic British rom-coms like that are your guilty pleasure, oh my God, do I have the movie for you. So my recommendation for today is Ol Parker's 2005 sapphic rom-com, Imagine Me and You. It fits these vibes to a T, with an unexpected romantic interest, a crazy but adorable meet-cute, a classic will they won't they plot, and set in the quintessential cozy rom-com fall to winter seasonal time of year. Sonia, have you seen or heard of this movie? I'm just curious.
I haven't seen it, but I had heard of it because I go to the Bev all the time. So it was on we have the calendar on our fridge all the time.
Oh, I love it. Same.
And I really wanted to see it. I mean, just in part because Lena Headey's in it.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
I wanted to see her in a not psychotic role.
No, literally. I literally said, like, this was the first time I've seen her in something outside of Game of Thrones as Cersei. So it was really nice to see her play, just kind of a normal person. That's so funny. Yeah, so the film stars the iconic Piper Perabo as Rachel, a young bride-to-be marrying her longtime boyfriend and best friend named Heck, played by Matthew Good. Rachel is as happy as ever, but just as she's walking down the aisle to her future husband, she locks eyes with the wedding florist named Luce, played by the brilliant Lena Headey, who, yeah, I absolutely adore. Anyways, Rachel finds herself instantly drawn to Luce, and the two quickly become close friends. When Rachel learns that Luce is a lesbian, she begins to question her own sexual identity and like the overwhelming feelings that she kind of has towards Luce. So she finds herself face to face with a very complicated dilemma. Should she stay with her husband or follow her heart to take a chance on this new and exhilarating romance with Luce? Oh my God, I'm like getting giddy just thinking about it again. I love a good rom-com.
I can't believe that they actually have her get married and then have this dilemma. That's
it's
a bold
kind
choice.
of absurd. Yeah, and sorry, that sounds like a spoiler, but it literally happens within like the first second of the movie. And yeah, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. This is kind of crazy. But and I'll admit, like, this film doesn't really go above and beyond the quintessential rom-com cliches, but it still stands out to me as a classic, especially for like early 2000s queer rom-coms, which I personally haven't seen a lot of. So and I think like the classic rom-com tropes and cliches work so well in this film because the characters are also just so much fun. Like Lena and Piper's performances and their chemistry as Luce and Rachel is just, it's adorable, and the tension is so good, and it's just guaranteed to give you butterflies. I don't want to say too much more about the film than I already have, but definitely check this one out. And as I was saying before, like if you love the cozy fall or winter vibe where you're like all snuggled up in a pile of blankets with tea or hot cocoa and watch romantic comedies all day, please add this one to your list. It's so much fun. It's such a classic. It gives you butterflies, it breaks your heart, and it left me with a smile on my face. It's so funny. It's so much fun. So highly recommend Imagine Me and You.
And I imagine like London winter costumes are probably really great.
Oh yes, absolutely. So iconic.
I love a good jacket.
Oh yeah, you'll love this. It's so classic. I think right now it's available to rent on Prime and wherever you rent your movies. I don't think it's streaming anywhere for free, unfortunately, but yeah, everyone check it out. Let us know what you think of it. And also if our listeners or you, Sonja, have any more recommendations like it, please send them to me because I'm always looking for more.
Well, I don't have anything. It's not similar to that, but Lena was in a movie in 2021 called Gunpowder Milkshake. Have you heard of it?
No.
So I think I have a special love for it because it was one of the first movies I saw in the theater, like post-pandemic, and they played it at the Bev, but it was a Netflix movie. So I assume it's available on Netflix, but Netflix makes 35 millimeter prints for the Bev all the time.
Right.
Some like thing that they do together.
Cool.
And she's in it as a mom who's part of like a group of female assassins. And it's with like Michelle Yeoh is one of them. And I wish Angela Bassett is one.
Oh my God. I'm sold. Immediately sold just off those two names.
Yes, it's good. And actually the fourth female assassin is someone who you would recognize. I'm like blanking on her name. But, and then Lena has a daughter who's like the young female assassin in this group. And it's just this kind of balls to the wall, like hilarious, hyper stylized action movie.
Oh my God. That sounds so cool.
So yeah, it's not sweet like your movie, but it's not creepy, horrible like Game of Thrones. Like she plays
dramatic.
She plays a character that you like and root for.
That's good. That's really good. That'd be a first, or I guess a second after Imagine Me and You. That's so funny.
Let's give her some better roles.
Yeah, seriously. Because she's great. She's so talented.
I know. She's so great. Yeah. She has such a great face.
Yeah, yeah, she really does. I love her voice too.
Mhm. All right. Well, bringing it home on my third pick. This is a movie from 1999, so it isn't new, but I did see it in theaters last month.
Oh, awesome.
And it was the 25th anniversary 4K re release of Run, Lola Run.
Yes. I'm so
I,
excited.
I assume that most people have seen this movie or at least have heard of it. I mean,
I
it was a
hope
big
so.
deal when it came
Yeah.
out. For those of you that didn't see it in the theater when it was re-released for a week, it is on Amazon Prime, so you can watch it there. But yeah, it's the iconic story of Lola, who receives a phone call from her boyfriend, Mani. He's lost 100,000 Deutschmarks, which is about 55,000 American dollars, on a subway train in Berlin. The audience is shown an unhoused man has picked it up. Lola has 20 minutes to come up with the money and meet Mani. Otherwise, he's going to rob a grocery store to get the money. The movie follows 3 versions of the events of that 20 minutes. Each version changes drastically due to seemingly minute or inconsequential events. And it's basically just this nonstop, balls to the wall, German techno infused race through Berlin. For her, her love's life is at stake.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's incredible. I don't think I'd seen it since it came out or
Oh, wow, that's
thereabouts.
awesome.
Like I
Yeah.
definitely saw it when it was new, but I hadn't seen it in a long time. And I was like, man, this movie is just so like innovative. Now it's been copied. Like if you've seen
Mhm.
other movies and you watch this, you might be like, oh, whatever. But it was so innovative at the time, and it mixed animation in and just such like crazy editing, and it's just
Oh,
so stylized. And even like the way that Lola looks, she has like this fire engine red pink hair and these like green pants on and her like Doc Martin boots, and she's just like running.
it's so iconic.
Yeah. She's literally running. I was like, man, she must have been in great shape
Yeah.
at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
I
That's
assume you've
so
seen it before.
Oh my god, yes. I actually had seen it for the first time a few years ago. I watched it with like all of my roommates and we had like a big girls movie night and it was literally the best experience ever. Like that I think yeah, I was just checking on Letterboxd cuz I was like I think that's in my top 10 and it's my top 10th favorite movie
Oh, nice.
of all time. It's just so good. Like it blew me away. Just especially yeah, like just seeing something so like you were saying so innovative that came out in what it was 99, right? Or
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forget. Yeah.
99.
Like just one of the first to do it is so cool. Unforgettable experience, honestly, watching that movie for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, the first time you see it, you don't know that it's going to be like the same story 3
Yeah.
times.
A cycle. Yeah. Yeah.
So, or, similar stories. So
Mhm.
it's like, it's extremely stressful.
Oh my god, yeah, I remember, like, my palms sweating even, like, rewatching it, I was like, "I kind of forgot how this goes," and my palms were sweating, and, like, I can't even fathom the amount of running that she was doing filming this, it's actually insane.
I know. I mean, so crazy. And then like watching it, I started noticing like just the tiniest details. Like she runs by these train tracks, and each time the train is in like just a slightly different point in its like crossing of the frame relative to like when she runs, and just like all the details that had to go into that. Like it's really meticulous, but it's not a movie that
Yeah.
feels meticulous. It feels like
Yeah,
so present.
totally. Oh my god, totally, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's honestly, like, that was a movie that I was like, I would love to be able to make something like this. It's very inspiring.
Yeah, I agree. I love a movie that seems like simple, but is so effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally. Exactly. Oh, Run, Lola, Run.
Yeah.
I love that movie so much. I want to be her for Halloween.
That would be a fun costume.
Right?
Like,
so
I
easy.
feel like I could pull that off. I'd be willing to dye my hair.
I was like, yeah, why not?
I also have to point out that the writer and director Tom Tykwer, sorry if I ruined his name, he also composed all the music.
What?
And she sings the vocals.
What?
So
that's so cool. I had no idea.
Yeah, I noticed that in the credits. So I was like, it's like feels very like intimate probably in a lot of ways, super indie.
Well, and the score is everything in that movie too. Like it's almost like its own character, I feel like. It's like what carries like everything into the next thing. Oh my god, that's so cool. Yeah, I was reading because I was like, how the hell did she run? Like, how did she pull this off? Did she train? And apparently she did no training. She went from smoking like 2 packs of cigarettes a day and just jumped right into it. I was like, crazy person.
Well,
love it.
I wonder if she had to stop smoking for that period of time.
Honestly, I don't know how she would get through that. Especially like she was talking about so many scenes. She was like, they gave me running shoes to change into, but it became such a like time kind of issue that she ended up just doing most of it in her docs, which is crazy. So I can only imagine the blisters that she had.
Oh my gosh. I hope, yeah.
And running in docs, like, come on, that sounds so just exhausting.
I know, they're so heavy. I wonder if, like, I mean, they look worn in at least, so.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully they weren't brand new. That would be horrible. That would be torturous.
Seriously, it would be so bad.
So bad.
Yeah, and it made me think, like, I haven't seen her in much since then, and she's so great. I mean, maybe in Germany.
So good. Where did she go? Yeah, I know.
She plays Jason Bourne's love interest in the first Bourne movie.
Oh, yes, that's right. Okay.
But that was like the only thing I could think of that I had seen her in.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't think I've seen anything else with her, but she definitely left an impact on me in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Mani as well. He was great.
Oh, Mani's so cute.
Oh, so cute.
Although I have to say, that was a movie that rewatching it, I was like, oh, they're kind of jerks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm like rooting for them so hard and like this true love. And I was like, they're just like young criminals.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And like her parents are absurd.
Yeah. Her dad's like, I mean, a real jerk.
The worst. Actually, the worst.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love the humor in that movie too. It's kind of like dry and just like I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's really off, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I agree.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, Run Lola Run is so awesome.
Yeah,
great recommendation.
Definitely watch it. I wish we could have done it before the 4K re-release, but
I know that was so cool to see that film in theaters. Was like that was a bucket list experience for me, so I was so happy about that.
Yeah, it was great. Although I would not be surprised if it shows up around now that there is this 4K version. So
true. Yeah, I'm sure it'll pop up all over. Awesome. Alrighty, on to my third and final film recommendation today. So a couple of weeks ago, I got to attend a 35mm screening of The People's Joker at the New Beverly. I've basically like lived there this last month because I didn't really know about it for a long time, which is crazy. And now that I do, I'm like addicted to going.
I'm going tomorrow, so I feel you.
What are you seeing?
I'm seeing the matinee of The Rock. The Nicolas Cage movie.
Oh, awesome.
I'm very excited.
That'll be so much fun. Yeah, they've been popping off this month, and then they just released their lineup for next month, and it's incredible. So I'm definitely going to be there most weekends. But yeah, so I went and saw The People's Joker, and they had a Q&A with the film's writer, producer, editor, director, and star, Vera Drew. She does it all. So this was such a unique theater experience that I almost like don't have the words to describe it. But all I know is that Vera Drew is without a doubt has already established herself as an icon and a powerful force in the industry. Her magnetism, her refreshing honesty, and her hilarious dark humor was just genuinely inspiring. So I'm really excited to talk a little bit about her film, The People's Joker. So The People's Joker is an autobiographical trans coming-of-age comedy set in a fictionalized version of Batman's cinematic universe. Vera was inspired to write this deeply personal but equally funny and absurd story. During the pandemic, she was re-editing Todd Phillips' Joker as a gag for her friend and co-writer Brie LaRose, which I thought was pretty funny. And Vera always loved the Batman universe's like campy history with the iconic films like Batman and Robin or Batman Forever. So it kind of just made for the perfect fantastical setting for her to experiment with like real world analogies, comedic irony, and then just a unique and artistic mixed media blend of like live action and animation from hundreds of artists from all over the world. I mean, like this film has every kind of animation or CGI that you can imagine. And it was so cool to hear her talk about discovering all these different artists who wanted to contribute their art to help tell her story. Like it really just shows how much this film was like a passion project and like the meaning it held for so many people all over the world. Which is already such a green flag for me when I'm going into a film. And so, yeah, Vera wanted to create something that was really campy, flashy, trashy, chaotic, but then also just brutally honest, personal, and heartbreaking because it simultaneously highlights so many issues and like the trauma that so many trans kids experience growing up in a not so accepting environment or world sometimes. So through this hilariously unfiltered and overstimulating like techno parody, Vera gets to explore her own personal trauma and her trans awakening. The film is packed with joke after joke after joke, creating this really absurd, maximalist, campy trash aesthetic. But beneath all the like chaos and kind of kitschy stuff, lies a really unexpected gut punch of emotion. Like under the guise of Joker parodies, there's actually a really authentic and true story. And Vera's honesty and like her vulnerability in sharing this trans experience and the way it affected her and her family, her comedy, her relationships, her overall like mental state and identity, it becomes a genuine and giant powerful force in the film. So this isn't a spoiler. This is more just a way to get you guys to see it even more. But by the end of it, I was really overwhelmed with like emotion and just felt genuinely honored to have witnessed Vera Drew's artistic approach to like processing her own trauma and her life experiences that led her to where she is today. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like I can confidently say I think The People's Joker will go down in history as like a queer cult classic. I think like the way John Waters' films and characters had a massive impact on trans and queer audiences in the 70s and 80s is similar to the impact Vera Drew's film could have on young trans and queer people today, because she's taken her trauma and her intense life experiences and turned it into an art piece for people to watch and relate to and laugh with. So it was a really beautiful and also just absurd experience. I've never seen anything like this film.
It sounds amazing. And I was honestly shocked that Nick didn't want to see it, because that was on my like, I send him like my picks for the Bev every month. And that like wasn't one of the ones that he said he also wanted to see, so we didn't go see it.
Oh yeah.
But it's like 100% on my list. I'm gonna watch it very soon.
You'll have to text me when you do, because I'm really curious what you think. It was nothing like what I expected. But I think that's kind of the point of it. It made me think, if John Waters is like the Pope of trash, then Vera Drew is the new high priestess on the scene. Yeah.
I don't know if this is a spoiler because I haven't seen the movie, but
yeah, no, go for it.
What or who is the people's Joker? I mean, I'm assuming that Vera is, but like, how does that fit in?
Yeah, so basically, she stars as like just this kid who wants to become a Harlequin. So there's Jokers and there's Harlequins, and they basically go to comedy school to learn how to be those careers. Those are like the two careers. And when she's there, she's kind of just like having an identity crisis, and that's where she's like, okay, am I a Joker or a Harlequin? So it's kind of the same idea as like being forced to choose a certain identity, if that makes sense. And she meets like a friend there who's the penguin, kind of like the penguin character. And they decide to create like an anti-comedy club, which is illegal. And so they create this kind of like motley crew together. And then chaos, it just gets more and more chaotic. And yeah, so that's basically like the main plot, I would say, without spoiling anything.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that helps.
It's absurd. It's a lot. Like, and that was kind of the point she was saying, is just like, it's supposed to be kind of confusing, but also just incredibly overstimulating. So just be prepared for that going into it.
Yeah, I'm all in. I know that you guys are probably going to be doing a Joker episode this year. In preparation for the new Joker movie. And I was like, is the People's Joker going to be one of the ones you do? And Nick was like, no. And I was like, well, I'm going to do it for my movie minute then.
Yes, that would be so perfect. Oh my God, you have to. That would be so fun to throw in.
I mean, it seems like it's important in the
definitely.
Whatever.
Yeah,
the echelon of Jokers.
Yes, exactly. It's got a little bit of everything in it. So that'll be perfect. Oh my God, I'm so excited for that episode now. Everyone stay tuned.
Yeah, the Bev or maybe it's coming up, I don't know. They have Batman, or The Dark Knight is playing at the Bev. And I just saw Joker at the American Cinematheque a couple weeks ago.
Awesome.
So the world is ready.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Joker season for sure. But yeah, everyone, I'm not sure if it's still playing. It might be in like select theaters, but I'm sure the People's Joker will come out streaming soon. But yeah, it's definitely one to check out. As Nicholas always says, it must be seen to be believed, and that, I think, applies very well to this.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's described as a fair use film, which I had never even heard of. I understand what it is, I guess, but yeah, I was like,
right.
Okay.
No, it's very, very new experience for me, which I think is just always so much fun. So to like go into something that you're just like, wow, I've literally never seen anything like that. But yeah.
Sweet. Well, I'm excited. And it looks like it's not streaming anywhere yet. So it might be in the theater somewhere.
Yeah, check your local theaters, and yeah, stay tuned for that one, because I think it sounds like something up your alley, I think it's worth checking out. But yeah, well, there you have it, everyone. 6 stellar film recommendations from yours truly and the extraordinary Sonja Mereu. Once again, Sonja, thank you so much for joining me today on the Gimme Three podcast. It was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great. I'm going to be watching a ton of movies, so I will happily come back anytime.
Oh, we're doing this again for sure. Fans and subscribers, thank you so much for listening to our show today. We're so grateful for all your support, and we're hoping to bring you some more bonus content this next month as well. Let us know if you've seen these 6 films. Let us know what you think. Send us your movie recommendations. We're always looking to expand our watch lists here at the Gimme Three podcast. You can comment your thoughts and recommendations on our Instagram page at Gimme Three Podcast. That's GIMME, spell out 3 podcast. Follow us while you're there, and you can stay up to date on all upcoming content. You can also reach us through our super cool texting feature. Hit the send us a text link at the top of our episode description, and we'll share your text on the podcast. Alrighty, Sonja, do you want to tell our listeners where they can find you? I know you're not really on the socials, but if you want to drop your Letterboxd or anything.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm too immature for social media, but I do have Letterboxd, and my handle is Sonja M, or Sunjam, SONJAM.
Love it. And you guys can find me on Instagram at Portrait of a Cinephile, or on Letterboxd as well at BFstratus. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in to the Gimme Three podcast, and we'll see you at the movies.